World-class athletes vanish on live TV, yet the audience believes it is merely a special effect. This isn't entertainment. It is a global kidnapping ring hidden in plain sight of millions. If they lose this game, they don't just lose a match, they lose their minds to a puppet master. Fear Island is a hunting ground where autonomy is stripped away to create a mindless soldier. Tonight, we expose the sinister reality behind the cameras and the price of losing one's soul. Welcome, seekers of truth. Before we dive into the darkness, let us connect in this digital space. Please write your city below and look for a neighbor to send a silent wish for peace and safety. In a world filled with shadow, your kindness is the only light that truly binds us all together. If you are ready for this journey, remember to like and subscribe to aid our quest for answers. Now, take a deep breath as we shift from the digital expanse to a sunlit high school hallway. It seems peaceful, but a small confrontation is about to ripple into a battle for survival. The ordinary world is often a mask for the extraordinary dangers lurking just beneath the surface. Watch closely, for the seeds of courage are often planted in the soil of everyday teenage fear. We transport you now to a moment where a simple lunch break becomes the prelude to a war. Alex raced towards school, her heart pounding not from exercise, but from a deep and looming dread. The roar of a motorcycle announced Donna Ramon, a leather-clad bully ruling with a terrifying gaze. Alex shrank under the glare, her dignity threatened as friends urged her to finally stand tall. But the universe had a different trial, one making high school bullying seem utterly trivial. A sudden call from Jerry at Whoop pulled the trio away from their teenage tribulations instantly. A new mission awaited: Infiltrate Fight, a brutal reality show hosted on the isolated Fear Island. Olympic star Reggie Willis vanished after a defeat, and the silence around him was truly deafening. Armed with gadgets and disguised as gladiators, they stepped into a world of malevolent secrets. Entertainment was merely a mask, and the girls were walking straight into a trap set for warriors. Fear Island rose from the churning ocean like a jagged fortress battered by the unforgiving waves. Vince King welcomed them, his charismatic smile failing to hide the unsettling vibe of the arena. He spoke of choreography, but the air was thick with a tension that betrayed his polished words. This was no sports venue. It felt like a Roman Colosseum designed for slaughter rather than sport. As the girls donned costumes, the facade crumbled, thrusting them into a fight for sheer survival. Real predatory wolves were released, their eyes gleaming with a primal hunger for fresh gladiator. King watched from his high tower, delighted as the spies used acrobatics to evade lethal jaws. The crowd cheered, blind to the fact that the beasts were meant to tear flesh, not just tease. On this cursed island, the thin line between performance and mortality had been brutally erased. Escaping the deadly ceremony, the trio delved into the sewers, seeking answers in the damp dark. The glamour of the broadcast above contrasted sharply with the grim squalor hidden far below. They discovered the truth. Missing athletes were not gone, but kept as broken, caged prisoners. Stripped of glory, the former champions wore metallic collars, pulsing with an ominous red light. The revelation struck hard. King was a slaver, using tech to bypass free will and steal minds. He was building an army of super soldiers, puppets who would obey his every command instantly. The horror intensified as they realized the sheer scale of King's twisted and ambitious plan. He sought to conquer not just the television ratings, but the minds of the world's strongest. Deep in the tunnels, the spies knew the mission had shifted from rescue to stopping a maniac. The mission spiraled into absolute chaos as King discovered their unauthorized infiltration. He unleashed his brainwashed gladiators, turning the rescue into a frantic battle for survival. Corridors echoed with the sounds of combat as the spies fought against an overwhelming force. In the melee, the unthinkable happened, as Sam, always the strategist, found herself cornered. Before Alex and Clover could intervene, a metallic collar was snapped tight around her neck. The transformation was instant and heartbreaking, erasing the warmth from her familiar eyes. Sam's gaze turned cold and vacant, recognizing no friendship, only the voice of her new master. Vince King's cruel laughter echoed through the facility as he tested his new puppet's loyalty. He commanded Sam to destroy her own sisters in arms, a twisted game of psychological warfare. Alex and Clover stood frozen, hearts torn between the instinct to fight and the horror of it. How do you strike the person you love most when she attacks with lethal and precise intent? The enemy now wore the face of their best friend, making every defensive move feel like a sin. Sam advanced, her movements sharp and robotic, driven by signals overriding her consciousness. King watched with glee, broadcasting the betrayal to an audience unaware of the tragic reality. Every punch Sam threw was a physical manifestation of their failure to protect her from harm. Alex dodged a blow that would have shattered bone, realizing brute force would not win this day. The emotional toll was heavier than any physical blow, as the trio was ripped apart from within. Desperation set in as they realized they were fighting a ghost in the shell of their ally. Survival now meant hurting Sam, a choice that tore at their conscience and paralyzed their limbs. The shadows of the arena lengthened, marking the start of their darkest and most personal hour.
The arena became a stage for a tragic duel, with Sam attacking her friends with lethal precision. Alex and Clover spent more energy dodging than striking, their pleas for Sam to remember failing. Every kick from Sam felt like a deep betrayal, a sign of the electronic control overriding her. King reveled in the drama, turning fratricide into a spectacle for the cheering, ignorant crowd. Alex realized that physical strength was useless. They needed to sever the strings of the puppet. The source of the control signal was a satellite dish, perched high above the treacherous cliffs. It was their only hope, a desperate gamble that required leaving Sam unguarded in the chaos. The choice tore at their conscience, but destroying the transmitter was necessary for salvation. Alex prepared to run, leaving Clover to hold off the attacks, praying the plan would work in time. With time running out, the spies launched a desperate counteroffensive to save their friend. While Clover drew the fire of the army, Alex scaled the treacherous heights toward the dish. The wind howled, threatening to cast her into the sea, but the image of Sam fueled her ascent. With a final explosive effort, she sabotaged the satellite, sending sparks raining like fire. A profound silence followed as the red lights on the collars flickered and finally died out. The athletes collapsed as their minds flooded back, confusion replacing their forced aggression. Vince King attempted to flee, stripped of power, but was surrounded by the champions he enslaved. There was no need for violence. The sheer weight of their collective glare brought him to his knees. Justice had been reclaimed on Fear Island, not through vengeance, but through absolute liberation. The island was left behind, a bad dream dissolving in the wake of their return to normalcy. Yet something within Alex had shifted. The fear that once paralyzed her was burned away forever. When Donna Ramon approached, expecting a victim, she found a warrior standing in the hallway. Alex stood her ground, her eyes reflecting a quiet strength that silenced the bully instantly. Sensing a shift in the hierarchy of spirit, Donna backed down with a nod of newfound respect. It was a victory far sweeter than any championship belt, won through the fires of the arena. We learned that true power is not imposed on others, but found within when protecting loved ones. Thank you for journeying with us through the darkness and emerging together into the light. Until the next story unfolds, keep your spirit unbreakable and your heart open to courage.